Yeah, I'm Lawrence Metten. I'm the design director at Final Strike Games.
So we're here at E3 Judges Week, and this is the first time a lot of people have gotten a chance to get their hands on Rocket Arena. Tell us what the game is about, and like what's kind of the elevator pitch for the game.
Yeah, sure. So we're really excited to be here showing off Rocket Arena. It's the first time anyone's gotten the chance to see it outside of Final Strike and Nexon. It's an all-new 3-on-3 competitive multiplayer experience. It's an arena shooter. Everything's a rocket, everything's a projectile, but no one dies.
Yeah, the no one dies thing was kind of interesting because you still have a very similar kind of deathmatch free-for-all feel to it in one of the modes. Like, you talk about how you address that kind of concept of respawning without death, and maybe some other games you guys look to for inspiration for that.
Yeah, I think for us, we wanted to provide an experience that we hadn't really seen in the shooter space before, and we took a lot of inspiration from brawlers. Like, we looked at Smash Bros. And that building percentage in their experience, and how would something like that map to a shooter? And so our projectile-based combat, where every time you're hitting an opponent, you're filling their blast meter. Each hit does more and more knockback, sends them flying further and further into the air. And if you're able to send them out of the environment or off the arena, you'll get a KO. We keep them out of the action for a couple seconds, return them to a safe spot in the arena where they can kind of pick up and return play. We wanted a really high-intensity arena experience. Our matches are very quick in kind of the 4 to 6 minute time frame, but we knew we had to keep players out of the action for a couple seconds every time you're KO'd, and that's where returns come in.
And let's talk about verticality. There's a lot of different things going on in this game that lead to very elevated combat. So you incorporate a rocket jump, which, we first saw in Quake, and it's been kind of, we've seen it in Overwatch, other games successfully. But you took it a different level with this triple jump mechanic. So, what were you looking at from a platforming perspective when you decided to make these design decisions? Because I really think you've created a very interesting traversal experience with that.
Yeah, platforming in Rocket Arena is huge, and so every character's got that double and triple jump that allows them to get off the ground and get up into the air. You can shoot the ground below you to rocket jump, and our rocket jumps are very forgiving, and they don't damage you. So you're rocket jumping all the time, sending yourself up into the air, sending yourself to a high vantage point where you're able to hopefully get the upper hand on an opponent that's below you. And then we also have what we're calling rocket climbing. So if you shoot a wall, instead of sending yourself away from the wall, you'll actually send yourself up the wall. So you can climb geometry in the arena, shoot the ground below you to get the upper hand and get above your opponents.
And let's talk about some of the other modes in the game. You're offering kind of like a capture, or kind of like a King of the Hill sort of mode, right? What is that called?
Yeah, Mega Rocket is our area capture mode. You're fighting over one point at a time in Mega Rocket. And we spawn the point by shooting a giant rocket to the arena from above. It'll actually knock back anyone that's in its landing zone or its blast zone, and then teams fight over it to capture it. First team to capture 5 wins the match.
And there's this third mode that I think I might be my favorite. I don't want to sound like I'm playing favorites early, but Rocket Ball, which is kind of a sport that you've created in this universe. How long into the development of Rocket Arena did you folks come up with Rocket Ball, and was there like an aha moment where you're like, oh my god, this is really fun?
Yeah, Rocket Ball, it's my favorite. It's probably the studio's favorite as well. It happened pretty quickly. We ball modes are really popular in Halo, and a lot of us came from Halo, and we thought, hey, let's put a ball mode into Rocket Arena and see how it plays. And I think Rocket Ball is a great mix of football and running the ball into the goal, but then also basketball, and you get these long-range shots that happen from across the map from the center line that are just really exciting.
It also has that American Gladiators vibe because there's only that one place where you can dunk the ball. I guess it's kind of like basketball in that sense too, but then you have this passing mechanic that's really crazy because when you combine it with the verticality, when you're shot up into the air, you can toss it to your teammate who's at the spot. And it's just there's a really interesting meta that I think will form from that.
Yeah, you get great plays between teammates passing the ball back and forth, and our rocket projectiles actually allow you to shoot the ball out of the air. So sometimes you think you're dead to rights, the opponent's thrown the ball, they have a clear lane to goal, and you can actually get the perfect shot to deflect it away and prevent the goal from going in. Or maybe the ball's on the ground beside the opponent's goal, you can shoot at it to impulse it into the opponent goal for a score.
And I want to mention this for sure. There's definitely like a hero mechanic, and each character in the game definitely has different skills. What games did you maybe look to for inspiration there, and like how are you going to go ahead and balance that as the game progresses?
Yeah, we have a colorful cast of characters, each with their own rocket, and their rocket has just about as much character as the characters themselves. And each character has 2 abilities. And so we looked at other character shooters as well as fighting games to kind of make sure different roles are represented. But we're not a class-based shooter. We're a character shooter. First and foremost, it's about getting as much personality into those characters and creating interesting combat scenarios between those characters during gameplay in Rocket Arena.
Kind of going back to your point about looking to Smash Brothers from a design perspective, I kind of want to talk to you about the health mechanic in the game a little bit more. It's not like I have 100 health and it goes down to 0. How exactly does that work? And then, like you mentioned, it affects how the projectiles hurt you as well, right?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we're the shooter where you don't die, and every time you hit an opponent, you're filling their blast meter. So it might look a little bit like a health bar, but it's not draining, it's filling as you hit opponents. And the bigger their blast bar, the further they'll fly when you hit them. So if you see an opponent that doesn't have a blast bar above their head, they're just going to be knocked back a little bit as you hit them, but as you hit them, they're flying further and further into the air. If you fill that blast bar, it kind of starts shaking and looks like it's about to explode. Your next big hit will send them flying out of the arena with what we call a Mega Blast, and a Mega Blast is a guaranteed KO. So there's this dynamic between, can you knock someone off the map with what we call a natural KO, where they happen to be near a ledge or kind of near a KO boundary. But if combat goes on for long enough, if the duel isn't ending, you can fill their blast bar and get a Mega Blast.
You know, what I noticed with the level design as a result of that mechanic is there's less pickups than a traditional FPS would have, you know, where there's health kits here or there's different things. When did you guys decide to give us unlimited rockets, and thank you?
Yeah, so we didn't want players going after ammo pickups. We wanted to focus on combat. We wanted to focus on our game modes, and we thought ammo was one of those systems we could get out of the way and just let players focus on the fight.
And also with health pickups, it's just you're hurt. You're gonna die eventually, or not die. You're gonna have to respawn eventually.
We do allow you to recover your blast bar, so if you stay out of combat for long enough, it will regenerate. But combat's so frantic and fast that it can be tough to do that sometimes.
Okay, so it's a little like Halo's shield in that sense, where it can regenerate over time.
Yeah, it's a similar mechanic where, with our spin on it, of course, where if you're able to stay out of combat, you will regenerate your blast bar.
And you said that a lot of your team came from the Halo series. Which ones were you guys working on?
Yeah, so the founders of the company worked on Halo 4 and Halo 5. I've joined the studio recently. I worked on Halo 5. Most recently was working on Halo Infinite.
Do you have any information about release date window or platforms that you could share with us?
Yeah, so we'll be on PC and Xbox. We have a beta that will be starting very soon, and more details to announce as we get closer to release.
And with Xbox and PC, are you planning for cross-platform play?
We do have plans for crossplay. I don't think we're discussing specifics at this time, but we are considering crossplay.
And yeah, it's running on Unreal Engine 4, right? So Unreal recently announced Unreal like online services. Have you guys looked at that at all for a solution?
I'm not exactly sure details there, but I do know that we are looking at crossplay and allowing players to play between PC and console.
I know one other console that runs Unreal Engine 4, and I was just thinking that this game might be perfect for it. So I have to ask you, have you looked at the Nintendo Switch? Have you thought about maybe what it would look like to have this game on Switch?
We love the Switch. We don't have any plans for Rocket Arena on Switch right now, but we aren't ruling it out. It's something we'd love to do down the road.